Number 10 of the 20 factors that impact your Facebook ad success, budget. It makes a huge impact. But obviously, we don't all have limited budget. So if we all could spend $1 million a month, gives us lots of flexibility to do all kinds of crazy things and find great success. But we all don't have that. So that's why this falls within the moderate range. But the amount you spend will absolutely impact the results you get. So your budget, you're going to set that typically at the ad set level. There are ways of doing that at the campaign level too, but you typically have a daily or lifetime budget, and where you set that is kind of up to you. Impact here, the amount of ad spend is going to lead to volume, which is going to lead to better optimization, which will lead to better results. That's an oversimplification, I guess, but the results are reliant on having access to some ad spend. When I say some ad spend, I mean if you're only spending $1 a day, you're gonna be limited in terms of what you can actually do. If you're able to spend $1,000 a day, obviously you have much more freedom. It doesn't mean you need to spend $1,000 a day, but these are things to consider. The lowest budgets are simply less likely to get positive results because it's going to be more difficult to optimize, particularly for conversion, because you're not getting the volume that Facebook needs. So Facebook, they need that volume to properly optimize. Now, there's the debate on how important the learning phase, exiting the learning phase is. We're not going to go all in on the learning phase right now, but just I have seen that I might have kind of bad results in the early going of a campaign, but as Facebook continues to optimize and they exit the learning phase, that's usually when I get my best results. So if you're not getting the volume to exit that learning phase, you may not be reaching the full potential. So your budget can also be too high. So if you've got a really small audience, let's say you got 1,000 people in it, and you say, I'm going to spend, this is a really effective audience. It works really well. I'm going to spend $500 a day. Well, that doesn't really make sense. But because let's say you even reach all of them in one day, that's an enormously high CPM, and it also would mean probably your frequency is going to be off the charts. So you can set a budget that is absolutely too high for a small audience. So that's how budget can impact your results. It could mean reaching people less likely to act also when you set a really high budget for a small audience. Facebook's going to move beyond that group of people most likely to act. It's going to mean increasing frequency to wasteful levels. And ultimately, it's probably going to mean increasing your CPM, which is the cost to reach your audience. So instead of it being, say, $5 per 1,000 impressions, suddenly it creeps up to $10, $15, $20, $50, whatever. And we don't want that. So how should we approach budget? Consider your audience size and the impact when setting your budget. So reserve your highest budget for the larger audiences. And no, that doesn't necessarily mean success rate, right? Now, look, if you've got two audiences that are the same size, one that gives you better results than the other, then yes, you should spend more on the one that gives you better results. That said, if you've got one audience that is very large at 10 million, one that's very small at 1,000, we wouldn't necessarily spend more on the one that's 1,000 because we just can't. Whereas that prospecting with the 10 million, you may be spending more with. You've just got more budget flexibility in general. You can spend low, you can spend high, doesn't really matter. Depends on kind of what results you get when you have a large audience. Whereas with a smaller audience, you don't have that flexibility. So don't commit, though, to a large audience or large budget for a large audience because you might end up wasting money. Consider the sample size that you're getting, that you need in order to get results. So once again, this is a rule of thumb with the learning phase. Facebook wants you to get at least 50 of the actions you're optimizing for during a week. So if you can't get that, you might want to try to spend a little bit more. So if an example would be you're selling a $100 product, assume $50 in ad spend to get a sale. Facebook needs about 25 to 50 in a week in order to optimize. So you're never going to reach that at $10 per day. Just keep that in mind.